Hello. It is I, Heather Peterman, for Liberty Librarian. I had a late start. I'm sorry, guys. I put my thing up. I put my ticker up. I take that down. I'm Liberty Librarian. That person there. That's me. Whew. What a day. Oh, I'm having like an allergy day, so my eyes are watering. I'm crying. And my husband just came home right in the beginning of the show. If I waited like another minute, he would have been there. So, hi, Andy. I'm doing my show. So, yeah, how you guys doing? Hope you're having a great week. It's been kind of crazy, and I forgot to turn off my email, so I'm going to turn that off right now so you don't have to hear all my constant emails that I get. Like today is one of those days where I constantly, every 2 seconds, get emails and people asking me questions, and it's difficult to say the least. But hopefully you're having a good week, right? What? You give me love? Come give me love. We'll film it and maybe I'll make the millions. Yeah. Oh, maybe. You're pretty cute. Like, maybe I should start a Patreon. You want to see us make out? No. I'm just kidding. Oh, that would horrify my poor husband. So I'm having a beer. And I was thinking about this week about things that are scary and things that are unreal and weird. And like we just turned the heat on in our house, so we finally are coming into fall. It feels like fall. I wore my coat. I had a little lunch out today. I was working at the library and I came back and I was like, I forgot to wear my coat. So at the end of the day I made sure I wore it home. But it's cold here in Minnesota. Hey, hola. Nice to see you. So it's cold here, and I feel like when it starts to get cold, it's time for scary story time. So, which was kind of weird because today, I'll share like it's like a whole theme that all kind of came together, and it's just been odd. So, my new obsession, besides the new Dune trailer, which you have to go watch, they're doing a reboot of Dune. It has like everyone in the world in it. That Timothy Chalamet and however you say his last name. He's really cute, but he's like a baby. And I was thinking when I saw the original Lynch Dune, it was Kyle MacLachlan, and he was 24 when he filmed it. And so I thought, gosh, how old is this kid? He must be like 18 or something. And he's 23, so he's old enough to be Paul in the movie. So they have Jason Momoa, what's his name? Thanos, Josh. God, what's his last name? I can't remember. Oh, Total Vagabonds. Hello to my Irish friends. Hello. It's so nice to see you. Thanks for joining us. I was just having a beer, thinking about the new Dune movie that came out. Is coming out in December, and according to my friend Kara, it's coming out no matter what. So we're planning on going to see it. So that was on the topic for the week. But I have been also obsessed with YouTube this week. And on YouTube, I found it's not a new channel, it's sort of new. It's a guy who tells scary stories. And his name is Mr. Balin. So his name is John Allen. And he is a former, I think it's Navy SEAL. Okay, I looked him up, and now I feel like everything that I'm thinking is confusing. So, Mr. Ballin, John Allen, and I'm just gonna look him up real quick because I feel like, yeah, he was a Navy SEAL, and he does TikTok and YouTube, and he creates these really kind of cool stories on YouTube, and he has like kind of like a background that goes with like the stories telling, and he does like about 3 or 4 or 5 of them a week. So he like makes content like a mofo. I'm lucky that I can do 2 shows a week, and I'm still like, ugh. But I'm sure he like focuses all of his energy on it. But I am fascinated by what he's doing because it's really kind of good. It's the stuff is kind of quality scary stories, and the way he tells stories is so good. He pulls you in, and it's almost like he was there, and you're hearing it from a friend who's telling you this story. So I will just show real quick what he looks like. Let's see, share screen and share audio. I'll do that. I feel like I'm talking like Sling Blade, whatever. Okay, here it is. So this is the guy, and let's see if I could just do a little clip of him. He's kind of neat. And what I like about some of his stuff is he ties some of the things into the military. Let's see. Here we go. I'm just going to show a tiny little clip so you can hear his voice and see what he sounds like. So here we go.
I'm pretty good at TikTok. I'm pretty bad at YouTube. I'm going to get better. I would also love it if you guys have suggestions for videos that you could pass them my way, either in the comments of the video, or you can shoot me a DM on Instagram. My handle is John B. Allen416. So John Ballin416.
Ballin.
Shoot me a DM, and I'd love to hear your feedback.
So anyway, what he does really cool is, here, I'll switch that off. Come back to me. Come to me. Get rid of it. Okay, I'll just get rid of it. So what's kind of cool about it is every week he has different stories, and I think it's just a neat format where you he shows the facts and he goes deeper and deeper into a story. So what I got sucked into, first one was the one I was just showing you, is it talks about these two girls that were missing, and in it is the I'm gonna make this bigger so I can say it. Chris Kremers and Lizanne Froon. These two girls went missing like about 6 years ago, and they were in Panama. And I think they're originally from, it might be Iceland. It could be, God, I'm thinking I'm messing that up. So they're pretty girls, and they, here they are. Let's see if I can show it. Okay, is this showing it? Nope. I'll switch to a different screen and I'll share a different one just so you can see what they look like. Here you go. This is the girls. So if I click it, let's see if it'll show it. All that's interesting. The unexplained experience of these two pretty girls. They were going to go down to Panama and teach a class, right? Let me just see if this is showing it. Yes, it is. So the girls were showing a class. They were going to teach a class, and they went down and they found out that they had been bumped on it for about a week. So they were going to go sightseeing and go hiking in the mountains near a hostel in Panama. So they had about a week before they had to come back. And these two girls went out. Most people go in this trail. They actually get somebody to bring them out there because it's kind of steep. It's definitely a walk. And so the people at the hostel were like, hey, you should probably take someone. And they're like, oh, no, we're fine. We're just going to go up for a little bit and then come back. And they're like, well, take our dog with you. So that way, if anybody bugs you, you got a dog, and the dog will bark at them and whatnot. So they leave. I think earlier in the day they said, and they went out, and like if you look at the pictures of them, what was interesting. Okay, here we go. There we go. I'm on the wrong page. We'll switch it to that one. Yes, I can figure out technology. This could be good. Here we go. This is the one I want. So these two girls. They're beautiful young things. And this was 6 years ago. So they take this host family's dog and they walk in the forest of near the Baru volcano in Boquete, Panama. So what was interesting in his story that he told, you hear about how they really just had like tiny little backpacks with them. Let's see if they show the picture. Here are the girls. They're wearing like tank tops, and they had like their cameras, their phones, and I think maybe a bottle of water. So hardly anything. And they went out on April 1st. Oh no, it was the day of April 1st. So it's like April Fool's Day. So they went out and the dog came back. And so they were like, okay, well, these young girls, they probably just got back and then they went and they're having drinks or something in town. So they're probably fine. So this family, they like looked around the house, but they said, they're young women. They're probably okay. I mean, most people don't get too lost in this area. If they stick to the trail, they're probably fine. So the next day, the hostel people, like, they didn't show up. So they called the authorities. They called the girls' parents. Now let me see. This probably says where they were from. Oh, from the Netherlands. Sorry, excuse me. So they were. They said they were students, but I think they're volunteering to teach. So yeah, and they're learning Spanish at the same time. So they had a few weeks to go exploring, and so they got to this place and they disappeared. And they were supposed to have an appointment the next day with a local tour guide who was going to take them on a private walking tour, and no one showed up. So there's an aerial search. They flew over the forest, and they didn't. They walked through the village. People looked around for them, and no one's found them. So on the 6th, 5 days later, the women were still missing. So the parents of the girls flew in, and they have detectives from the Netherlands. So they got local police and their dog units, and they searched for 10 days, and they didn't find them. So it's like they disappeared without a trace in the mountains. And here's a picture of they eventually found in a very weird spot. A woman who lived near there said she was walking near the trails, and it was near water that they found this backpack of these girls, and it was found in a rice paddy along the banks. And what was odd about it is it had their phone, and both of their phones were in the bag, and there was bottled water and their sunglasses and their bikinis, as you can see, and $83 in cash. So, and their sunglasses and everything, and Froon's passport. So they wouldn't have left this because they would have needed all of that. So, but most importantly was Froon's camera and both the women's cell phones. So they investigated the camera and the phones, and they found photographic evidence, which I've been like staring at for the last few days, just pondering what could have happened to these girls. So over 4 days that they were missing, 77 separate attempts had been made to call the police. Both they have 112, which is sort of like our 911 here in America, and that's the emergency number in the Netherlands. And then they also called 911, the emergency number in Panama. So using the call logs, the police were able to come up with an outline of the time the girls spent missing in the forest. And the first 2 emergency calls were just hours after they had begun their hike. So what seems to me, and they didn't connect. They're out in the middle of nowhere in the dense jungle. They basically were all by themselves. So what happened was, let's switch it up. It was kind of freaky because you look at this and you go, okay, so what happened to these girls? Where did my page go? Dang it. There it is. Okay. So out of all 77 calls, only one managed to make contact but broke up after 2 seconds. Unfortunately, it's maybe they could have gotten a word out. So they developed the film and the camera. They, I think it was a digital camera. So they just went through. Yeah, it was a digital camera, and they went through all the pictures, and it was like disturbing, weird pictures. Let me just share with you a few of those. Okay, so here it is. I'm going to make that big. Doesn't look like much, but that night, it looks like it's nighttime. And it was one of the pictures, and it looked like people argue about, is this looking down, like at a riverbank, or is it looking up, like they fell? There was a lot of disturbing thoughts about the pictures. And then the first photos were actually pretty happy and wholesome, but I will say that there are some gross pictures in here, so I will go through them really quickly so you don't have to look at them too long. There were pictures of the blonde woman's head, the strawberry blonde's head. The back of her head looked like it had blood on it. So did she fall? Did someone attack them? People are still pondering to this day what happened. One of the things that was odd about it was they went through the pictures and they're all numbered in the camera, right? So here, I'll switch this so you can see me. So one of the things that was really weird about the picture with showing the back of her head was that like what happened. I mean, you're coming up with a narration. Did somebody attack them, or did they fall? Did she get hurt? Did she fall and they couldn't get back, so she tried to get back to the trail and got lost? Did they both get lost? What happened? But the mystery to me, and it's hard to say if this happened before the bag was found or it happened after when they're looking through the pictures, was that some of the photos, first of all, looked odd. A lot of people in the conspiracy theory websites had said that it looked like they were edited pictures, like put in to make them look like they were doing, like having a happy trip, and then just maybe an accident happened. But the thing that was disturbing the most was, hey, thanks, Mike. Hey, very nice. So a picture was missing from the camera. And it's not just like when you delete a picture off your phone, there's forensic evidence in a phone that, there's like a fingerprint in your phone. Even when you delete it, it's still like they can put it back together and figure out what it was. And people think, well, maybe she didn't like the picture and just deleted it and it was weird, or just accidentally deleted it. But the thing that was odd, and especially odd, was it looked like the picture had not only been erased, but somebody had went in and made sure like it was totally erased from the camera. So to do that, you would need to know enough about to go into the phone with a computer and wipe that information. So they couldn't figure out what this one picture would have been. So there is a mystery there, and people say because of that, it seems like there was a cover up. Who knows if there was? But I'm going to go back to the article and just show you really quick. There's bones, so I'm just going to skim over that pretty quick. But they eventually found their bodies, and the stuff that was found, people were puzzled by it because it looked like it was near a riverbank, and it wasn't wet at all. It didn't look like it had gone through water, and because the idea was maybe they had fallen in the river and it went downstream and they found it later, so their body might have been missing in the water. And it was odd. It was almost like it was placed there. So there's definite feelings of uncertainty with all of this. So they kept looking, and they started looking around where the bag had been found, and that helped them narrow down where the body could have been. So taken in the dead of night, they had the girls and they were spread out. Their belongings were on rocks, plastic bags, candy wrappers, mounds of dirt, a mirror, and the back of her head with blood leaking from her temple. So investigating the area where the backpack had been found, the police found her clothing folded neatly on the edge of the river. So 2 months later, in the same area, a pelvic bone and a foot still inside the boot was found. And they did forensic like tests on the body parts, and they found that these were the women that were missing. They looked like they decomposed naturally. However, one of them looked like it was bleached. So what happened? Or was somebody, did they murder them? Did they dismember them so they couldn't be found? Did they decide that it was too many people looking for them, that they just would throw the bodies out there, be very careful and not leave any evidence behind? It's hard to say. One of the bones was stark white and looked like it had been bleached. The other was in a shoe, but people often, I mean, this is a real morbid thing to know, but a lot of times people jump off of bridges to commit suicide. So, what they often find that's left of them are shoes. So they'll find shoes with feet that wash ashore, and that's all they can find often of dead bodies of people who commit suicide by drowning themselves, throwing themselves off of bridges. So, fun fact: if your feet are in shoes and you die, there's a good chance that the only thing they'll find of you will be your feet. So interesting. So anyway, they found these, and then they found some other bones with it, which I have been looking through a lot of news articles, and I've never found anything that says who the other bones of the bodies that were with their the remains that were found. So it's more to the mystery. It was just like a place where they kill people, um, and let's see. Some of the pictures are disappearing. There's a foot on the left and the hip bone. So I'm sorry, that's kind of gross stuff. But what's really weird is, here, I'll come back to you. What's really weird is that these girls, they're young women, and they weren't that far from the hostel. What happened to them? The theory might be that they ran. Somebody scared them and they ran away, and the person might have known the woods enough or the jungle enough that they kind of led them to a spot where they were killed, or they stalked them and waited until nighttime and then got them when they knew there would be less people around. Maybe there was an animal. There might have been a wild animal that scared them and they got hurt and lost their wits. People have said that in Panama, in that area, in the jungles, it's been well known that there are drug cartels that live in the jungles, and maybe they got too close to some sort of operations there and were killed so they wouldn't talk. We will never know. That is the thing that creeps me out. It's scary and it's fascinating, but the part that's intriguing is the fact that it looks like somebody could have tried to cover it up. Now, what would be interesting to me is if there's enough corruption in Panama, maybe at the police departments, there might have been some evidence on the phone that might have pointed fingers at someone from a drug cartel or whatever that may have been a murderer, and they may have erased that. So to me, it seems like it either was evidence was concealed early on before the bag was found, or it was concealed after it was picked up. Either are possible, but to me, it seems very unlikely that these girls just had an accident and died. Could it have been supernatural? I don't know. I mean, I don't know the whole mythology of Panama. Maybe there's scary monsters there too. Who knows? But 6 years have gone by and it has not been solved. And there's still a lot of holes in the story that make me intrigued. So that is the story. And if you want to go down the rabbit hole, I'm going to just go back to this page real quick just to show you the girls one more time before we move on. Okay. So here's one of the things that they had said, that people thought that there was like a green screen effect here, like maybe somebody had put them in front of it. There's a bunch of pictures of them on social media where they're at beaches and stuff. So maybe they found something. And here's a picture of her looking on the trail. So there's some really creepy, weird pictures in it. And he studies the skin from the missing Dutch girl. There's someone standing and waiting. They think, is there somebody down here, or is that a leg or something? There's so many questions. one of the dudes on YouTube, who's kind of a weird dude, he said something about her shirt was like impossible the way it is, so he thought it was Photoshop. I don't know. It looks pretty realistic, but they had said something about her thumbs and her hands were weird, but you know, to me, like the story, the narrative seems like somebody scared them. They got hurt. They probably got killed, and you know, they maybe it may never be solved. But I just kind of wonder. Oh, here's a picture of her hair, the back of their hair, where there look like there's blood in the back. So scary story, right? It's every parent's worst nightmare. It's every scary stories beginning is young people go off into the woods, the big bad wolf's waiting for them. Sometimes a big bad wolf is a human, sometimes a big bad wolf is a wolf, and sometimes a big bad wolf is just your own fear that makes you do stupid things and you get killed. So what I really liked about that Mr. Ballin, John Allen's channel, was that he talked about that story so much that it made me actually go down the rabbit hole and read into it. So I recommend his channel. However, like some of his scary stories, they had some demon ones, and they are so scary. I would not watch them late at night. Kind of just take care with it. It's interesting stuff. And I think the other one I had watched with his was about it's very cool. He has a whole series on military ghost stories that I think are really neat. And with him, his background, I think being in the Navy and having that military, yet also the twist where he's interested in the supernatural. You get like both sides of it, the logic. Like they're looking at every reason why this isn't happening. His story about in Afghanistan, where these soldiers they had to like take over. It's not a base. It's like just a watching point. Oh, it's like OP, I think he called it. And this place, normally these observation point. I think that's what it means. OP. So usually they're up high, so they can look down and see everyone in the area. It's a great strategic point to watch for movement from the other army and other military, and if Afghanistan, like other forces, other armed forces. So they were going to go to this point, this American group of Marines, I think it was, and they were going to replace some British soldiers that had been there for 60 days, and they were going to be there for 60 days. And when they got there, the place was pretty creepy. It was way too low. So they had to kind of fortify it with like those ghillie tents and the big sandbag filled blocks. I don't know what they're called, but they're so if somebody's shooting at you, they kind of slow down the bullets a little. And so these guys got there, and usually the other crew that they're replacing will walk them around and show them the area and tell them like what to look for. But this other crew is so out of there. They were like, okay, bye. And they're like, wait, are you gonna show us? And they're like, yeah, we're gone. They look like they'd been there for ages because they were obviously worn down by something that was happening there. And what was so freaky is that one of the guys on the way out says, if you find something, you dig it up, put it back. And the guy's like, what do you mean? And he's like, just put anything you find back. Don't mess with it. And then he left. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? So these guys, and I think there's a dog that's there too. It was really like a weird, cool story because the dog lived there with the soldiers because soldiers would feed the dog. And the dog's like, oh, this place is bonkers, but I'm going to keep getting a free meal because we're in the desert. So they get set up, and then the first guy overnight, they are like trying to like dig down around the area. There's like kind of a, what do you call it, like a pit around, so that way they can like be in it, and people start shooting, they can get down low. And they're going to dig it deeper to make it a little more effective space. And when they're digging it, they found that there were a ton of bones there, like somebody had been killed. Many people had been killed. And the story with this place was that Russians had occupied it for a while, and many people got killed there. So they were like, "Oh, this is what they're talking about. There's bones here." So we're like in a graveyard. So first night, this guy, he was on watch duty and everyone else is sleeping, and he's watching. I think there's a pair of people, so he's watching and he sees something, and his partner, he's like, "Hey, look," because he's got the heat goggles so he can see if there's somebody out there. He's like, "There's nothing." Like, there it is. And the dog's barking at it, and like, there's something there. And all, like, they look down and then they look up and the thing is closer, and they're like, "It's totally there." So on and on, they just they're trying to figure out, like, there must be something going on. There's got to be like somebody who's going to attack us or out there. And so they start to figure out that not only is this place kind of creepy because there's dead bodies in it, but once they move the bodies, then all of these ghosts start appearing. And these are like, if you follow ghosts, like ghost hunters kind of stuff like that, to me this doesn't seem very sentient, like a sentient haunting. It seems more like a residual from the horror of war. So they had things that kept happening to them, and they couldn't sleep because it was like they were constantly being attacked by these ghosts. And after their 60 days, they were like, "Yep, like, put everything back, put the bones back, don't mess with it." So the stories are pretty cool. I mean, like, I would say I've gotten lots of enjoyment out of his scary stories. The demon ones freak me out a little too much, but it's kind of fun to just like listen in on it and that kind of thing. So definitely, I'm gonna just show his Facebook page one more time.
Where is it? I heard the door.
You can hear him.
I heard the bells. I heard the pot. I heard the footsteps. I saw the door open. I see the thing walk in.
This is his voice.
Walk down the aisle. I watched it bend over. It's in the room.
Mr. Ballin, storytelling.
This is night 1. There's 2 more nights of this. It gets worse.
So he tells stories. It still haunts me. Episode 1, and it's just fun. I mean, like, he has pictures, disturbing backstories, photos of it's just freaky. One of his stories was about a girl that I think it was her boyfriend, like, lit the boat on fire that they were on so he could like have her die at sea, and he took his little rowboat out and got away, and she was found because these dolphins freaking protected her from sharks. She would have been shark bait, but he's got great stories. And what I like is he's got the photos and the ghost stories. The military ones are really fun, and true crime. So if you're looking for something to scare you a little bit, I think he's got a really good channel. And so that's my plug for the day. So I'm going to take a little sip. Okay. So next up, I'm going to stop. There we go. Let's see. Did I actually turn it up? I did. The next thing I wanted to show you, last year, we talked about banned books, and one of the banned book series that we talked about, scary stories to tell in the dark. And a lot of people love those. And I had an argument with somebody about banned books, which was a ridiculous one because they don't think they exist. And I'm just gonna focus it. A banned book, when the libraries are talking about banned books, it doesn't mean they're currently banned. It doesn't necessarily mean they're banned to the point where they're illegal by the government. It doesn't mean that all over the world that they're banned in the same way. These are usually books that are censored in some way. Banned books are books that like schools have banned from their own libraries. They're books that have been censored in other countries, sometimes from being sold. Sometimes they've been burned. You know, what I don't like is when people like they get into the little nitty gritty of what a banned book is. So I was actually pretty surprised that somebody said this is a liberal undertaking by librarians to make us think that things are banned and nothing's really banned. We're in a free country. Like, yeah, we want to be in a free country. We want to remind you that things get censored. We want to remind you that that things can go from being pretty cool, like this year, like beginning of 2020, like freedom and getting to go wherever you want, not wearing masks all the time, to bananas, batshit crazy, and like we're already getting pushed to a society where things are getting real dark, and censorship is like the next phase. They're already doing data tracking. They're already trying to make it so you can't really do what you want to do, right? So censorship is real. I've had a hard time with that the other day because it's like such a smart person, but they get so focused, like it's not banned. It's not banned. It might not be banned right now. And they got mad because they were having books, and they're like, it's just a tool to sell liberal agenda books. And I'm like, you know what? People hardly read at all. Let's just say maybe it's a tool just to show them that there are other books with different ideas. There's nothing wrong with that. And, you know, for people who would like to think of themselves as conservative, you'd think that they would be really interested in censorship to make sure that ideas that they're excited about aren't banned as well. So this is what made me all hot and bothered about it. So anyway, I digress. The scary stories we tell in the dark is a great, like, it's a great series. It's an anthology from 1981, and it was banned because it had such scary art in it, and the stories are pretty creepy, and had 2 sequels, and it's written by Alvin Schwartz. So there is a cool new thing that's coming out. That's just coming out October 2nd. So I wanted to tell you about it because I know a lot of you are really excited about scary stories that we tell in the dark. So they're making a documentary on it, and you can watch it for free on October 2nd. So how do you get it? There's a couple ways. You can have a watch party, and Amazon Prime is having it. So if you have Prime, it's a subscription, right? So it's not that free. But you can do a watch party and you can have it for up to 100 people. So if you work in a library or you're into like scary stories, you can watch the documentary about it, and it's free. Another one that's super free with ads is called Tubi, Tubi, and Tubi has it's like an app for watching shows, and you can watch this documentary for free in October. And there's also on the Facebook event page for Banned Books Week on ALA. Let me see if I can click on it. I'm going to open up that. I'm actually open it. They're actually doing a watch party there for free. So you don't even have to leave social media if you want to watch it. I will share that on my page, on my Liberty Librarian page, so you can see that. But I'm going to show you that. Let me show you. So this is what the watch party looks like. Watch party scary stories documentary. So there you go. That's kind of cool. And another thing, there's a DVD that's coming out, and lots of local libraries are getting it, so you can watch it. And it's kind of cool. So the Prime one is what I'm going to do, just because I don't really like ads, and I'm going to watch it. But I think it'd be kind of fun to watch it with anybody. And if any of you are interested, let me know. Maybe we'll watch it and talk about it. It'd be kind of awesome. watch parties are kind of cool, you know. I think there's going to be chat on Twitter about it too, so that's kind of awesome. And um, there's going to be a Q&A with the filmmaker Cody Myrick on Banned Books Week YouTube channel at 7:45 p.m. Central Standard Time on October 2nd. After the movie, so you can talk and ask the director questions about it and why they did things a certain way. And I think it's just it's a cool way of, if people are fans and people who are into horror, and you have people who want to learn more about it. I think it's going to be super fun. So I recommend that, and I'm actually going to watch it. October is a great time to watch scary stories, and this is one that I think it's going to be fun to watch. So, to be or not to be. If I click on that, it goes right there. You can watch it. I have ad blockers on it and everything, so it's not going to show it. There's a ton of stuff on Tubi too. They have a lot of After Dark Horror Fest, which I used to be super into. They got a lot of indie horror, so definitely if you're into scary stuff, that's fun. So watch that. Scary stories. Do we Tell in the Dark documentary viewing party on October 2nd. It's Friday, so it's kind of going to be like super fun. And there's also a conversation. There's a Twitter hashtag censorship is scary on the Facebook or on the Facebook event. You can go see that. So, and there's a YouTube channel. So like so many ways that you can watch this. So definitely check it out. And for fun, go to your library, go check it out. Check out Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Go read it before you watch the show, because then you'll have a little more knowledge about it and how freaky it really is. So I love it. I'm super warped as an adult, probably because of some of that. Also, as a fun fact, when I was in elementary school, we would go to the little public library near where I lived, and I read at like a higher level, and I loved horror when I was really little. So I think my first scary horror that I got was Firestarter, because I've always loved Drew Barrymore. Don't ask me why, but I think she's awesome. And so I got the book Firestarter, because I didn't get to go see the movie right away, but I was like, that looks awesome. I want to be that kid who can set things on fire with their mind. And I still kind of do. That'd be awesome. So read that book, and then I went down that path of like all the scary. So I think even that Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark I wouldn't have batted an eye. I was into like scary movies. I'd watch anything I wanted to my parents' chagrin. I loved like Freddy and Jason and Michael Myers, and like all the great horror movies of the time. And slasher I'm not really into super gross movies. I like campy horror now. The older I am, I think it's more funny, and it has to have a little bit of a heart to it, like not literally like but a little bit of some joy to it. Horror can be really scary and you don't see a thing, and I love that. Like there was a movie with Nicole Kidman. It's The Outsider or The Outsiders. I can't remember what it's called. Where they have it's like a haunted house with ghosts, and like there's a twist, but it's so scary because a lot of the things that you just see, like there's somebody behind the curtains and that kind of thing. Or like the original House on Haunted Hill, where the ghost is trying to get in, is rattling, and you're just like, how scary would that be if you had something like chasing you down and you couldn't see it? So I love like not really like obvious scary. So I mean, like I'm not really that into like super gory horror, but I do like the jump scares. That's kind of fun, and a good like cerebral story where it gets into your head and you're just like, wow, this has been going on the whole time. Like the House on Haunted Hill series on Netflix. You watch it and then you have to rewatch it because you start to notice there's little ghosts in the background just sitting and watching, like what's happening. So that's kind of cool. Anyway, so what scares you? I mean, we live in a really weird time, so maybe it's just life scares us. I've seen some really grim posts on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere lately, just because people are so down with the way COVID and the pandemic is, and it's wearing us all down, isn't it? So I think because of this, we'll have some really interesting horror coming out of what we've all gone through. The masks, um, become one with your face. You can never take them off. Oh, how scary. So anyway, I go down that path. So scary stories to tell in the dark watch party. I think you're going to love that. Let's go segue into the news since we're talking about scary stuff, but the news is scary enough. So, as always, I do take a look at intellectual freedom blog from the American Library Association, which is a great resource for intellectual freedom news. And one of the things I saw today was the Volca conspiracy. It's kind of a neat part of the Reason website. So if you look at reason.com, there's a section about the Volca conspiracy. And I'm going to click it. They have editorial independence. They have books. They have email. So they're kind of separate, but they're picked up by Reason. So it's kind of neat. So they talk about free speech in this. The news is from September 4th. And I'm going to just show you what... Let's see. No. Okay. We're just going to talk about it. So the New York State Education Department has reversed a decision which is made by the Valley Central School District about a 8th grade student who was suspended for a month because what he searched for on his school-issued computer and key legal analysis. So they told them to do research for writing and topics. So they say he searched for inappropriate topics on his school-issued computer. It's a Chromebook, so typical school computer that they give out. The notice of charges for the long-term suspension hearing identified the following searches that they said were inappropriate for an 8th grade boy, which these are things that seem appropriate to me. What temperature does gasoline freeze at Fahrenheit? What's the worst World War I gun? Here's one. I will kill every drug addict. That's funniest ways to die. What's the sharpest knife? Nitroglycerin explosion. Is nitroglycerin really that unstable? The fastest gun firing rate. Mother of all bomb explosion. What is the sign that the death is near? Is lidocaine legal? And kill shot. So, okay. Let's think about this for a minute. It is morbid. But as a writer, I'm a writer, I have looked up this and far worse in my internet history. I'm fascinated by it, and it fuels things in my writing. Will I ever murder people? No. I mean, this is just stuff that people look up. And teenage boys and pre-teenage boys have fascinating morbid questions and thoughts and things they think about. You look at the video games they play, of course you're going to wonder about World War I guns and nitroglycerin and stuff. Doesn't mean he's going to go out and kill people. So anyway, they suspended him for a month because he just looked up this stuff. They said it was inappropriate and it's scary. So it's just at the hearing, search terms were discussed which were not listed within the written notice, such as claymore, the biggest European sword. So he's asking questions about weapons, which is a lot of boys are interested in, and girls too, honestly. So there's nothing in it that's like how to murder someone or anything like that obvious. Plus, really, them looking at it is kind of bizarre that they're going through the search terms. So they also implied at the hearing that the student violated district policy because some of his searches were unrelated to his schoolwork. So they they don't want people to learn about things on their own time because it should all just be about the schoolwork, which is stupid right there. They said that the language of the charges it chooses to pursue against the students was unclear from the record, and that they said that they thought this was improperly brought up. The student They would not charge a student with misconduct for certain search terms, like the worst poker hand that were not related to the student's academics. Um, they said that pupil is who is insubordinate or disorderly or violent or disruptive, otherwise endangers safety, morals, health, and welfare of others. I cannot find that the student searches violated either education law or the district policies identified with the notice of searches. So some of the things are a little bit like scary to they appear violent on their face, like fastest firing rate, nitroglycerin explosion. At the hearing, however, the student testified as to his underlying reasons for conducting the searches, and none of the reasons were violent in nature. The student testified that he searched for Kill Shot because he was looking for lyrics to a popular song titled Kill Shot. So, sometimes they need to ask why and understand that maybe there's more to people than going to your worst assumption. So he had also searched for what is nitroglycerin used for. And it was in close proximity to nitroglycerin explosion. So maybe he found out and he thought it might have been for medical or for cars or for explosions. And so, just because somebody looks at this stuff doesn't mean they're going to do anything with it. And that's what terrifies me, is that they think that kids they have to be docile and uninterested in the world that's around them. And there's a lot of interesting stuff in the world. Oh, let's see. It says, oops, I keep hitting the wrong button. It says, hello, Darcel. There are set rules for school computers, and kids know this. But, sometimes that gray line between what's appropriate and what isn't, it's like you keep hitting send when you don't mean to. It's okay. I do that all the time. I keep hitting buttons when I don't mean to during the show. So it makes it kind of tough. So all I'm going to say is if you're going to do searching kids at home, use your own computers. Your school ones, it's not always the best place to look for fun stuff. But I do appreciate the fact that he looked it up, and I think it's a little bit unreasonable for them to be doing searches based on like punishing people based on searches, unless it's tied to some sort of weird bad behavior that this student had, where they're threatening people, and then they looked. But out of the blue, I think it's just a ridiculous thing to do to any kid. So that's my 2 cents on it. The other thing I want to talk about was Joe Rogan had switched to Spotify just recently. He has a multi-billion-dollar deal with Spotify. So Joe Rogan's the biggest podcast streamer or whatever in the world right now. And I even watch his show. He's really pretty funny and interesting. So he made a debut on Spotify about a week ago. And some of his controversial episodes didn't make the cut on Spotify. So they paid $1 million, and he has creative control of his show. Will the host have the guts to call out his new employer? So he's been censored. He's had social media censorship. Joe Rogan is a pretty outspoken guy. Is he going to say, hey, I should be able to talk about what I want? This is what you knew what you got when you paid me. Put my stuff back up or I'm leaving. How much is money going to influence him? And I think pretty much a lot. So we will laugh about it. And then there's some other really good things in the news. I got kind of talking about, Netflix has a docuseries on Indian billionaires that's facing a censorship battle. So what is it called? The Bad Boys Billionaires of India. So if you are interested in seeing something that probably will get taken down because of a lawsuit, you might want to go watch it now. I don't know how interesting or cool it is, but I always love to watch things that look like they're going to be banned, because who knows, it might be going away soon. And I want to show you this First Amendment cartoon. It's from, whatchamacallit, Quora. I'm going to click it. Let me see. It's a XKCD. Excited? Is that what it is? How do you say it? I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to show you the art. Where did it go? Oh, go back. Go back, Heather. You can't stay here. I'm almost out of time. Okay, I'm going to show this to you. And then we're going to end on a high note. That's okay. It's all good. Chrome tab. Here we go. Okay. Public service announcement. The right to free speech. Make sure it's showing it. I'm going to make it big. Make it big. Okay. The right to free speech, meaning the government can't arrest you for what you say. There we go. It doesn't mean that anyone else has to listen to your bullshit or host you while you share it. The First Amendment doesn't shield you from the criticism or consequences. If you're yelled at, boycotted, have your show canceled, or get banned from the internet community, your free speech rights aren't being violated. It's just that the people listening think you're an asshole, and they're showing you the door. So, a right to free speech, you can't get arrested for saying anything, but nobody has to take it either. So, just like you don't have to listen to me, go back. You don't have to listen to me if you don't want to. But, here I am, and I always want to, like, show you the world, show you things that are going on, and talk about stuff. So, on that note, I hope you have, like, a kick-ass week, that things are good, that life turns around and we get to have, like, good times and, all of that. I don't know. Maybe we, like, take over the world like we should. But have a great weekend. It's gonna be cold here in Minnesota, but next week it'll be warmer a little bit. So I'll get one last little taste of, like, the end of summer, maybe a little warmer fall, before we go right into, like, the the blizzard that is Minnesota winter. But have a great week. And if you're interested in some of the stuff I had to say, send some comments on the Liberty Librarian Facebook page. I'm sorry. And you have questions, let me know. I'm always happy to, like, give some more insight, find resources for you. So have a great week, guys. I will see you next Thursday. Take care.